Welcome to the Mental Health Boot Camp podcast. This is the podcast where 4 psychotherapists, 3 of us Canadian, 1 of us American, serve you cutting edge mental health knowledge. I am Dr. Ryan Howes, a clinical psychologist from Pasadena, California.
And I'm Dr. Brooke Lewis. That was funny. Sorry for those listening. I had a piece of hair under my nose like a mustache. And then when I started talking, the piece of hair fell and I thought it was really funny. I'm Dr. Brooke Lewis, a registered clinical counselor from the greater Vancouver area.
Ryan, you look really impressed. And I'm Joanna Boyd, clinical counselor living in Port Moody.
I'm Chris Boyd, psychotherapist from Coquitlam.
Good evening, everybody. Episode 95 of the podcast. We are excited to be here tonight, deep in the heart of December. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the time of year where you guys actually see no sunlight. Is that right?
Zero.
Very close. Yeah. The sun rises at 7:30 and it sets at 4:15.
Okay.
So still a few hours, but it gets dark pretty early.
You have daylight before work, but not after.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I think we're getting pretty close to the days starting to get longer again, right?
The 21st
Okay.
is the shortest day of the year. Yeah. And then they start to get longer again. That's good.
Yeah. How about down there? How is it? Still kind of chilly, a little cold down there in the City of Angels?
It has been a little cold. It's kind of nice. There was some frost on the grass yesterday morning.
That's great.
Which is not all that common down here. We had a low today of 5 and a high of 16.
Oh.
I'm assuming that's Celsius, eh?
That is Celsius. That's right. But that's a little warmer than it's been recently. I think that we had a high of about 12 last week. So
is that like a cold snap? Is that unseasonably cold?
it's unseasonably cold. Yes.
What is it usually in Celsius? Like 10 or 12 or something?
What is it usually? What do you mean? In
Around this time of year.
What would be a normal temperature?
Yeah.
Daily temperature?
I think around, I think 16 is about what we are usually at, 16 to 20
cool.
or so.
Oh,
Okay,
I didn't
wow.
realize that.
So
So
that's
it
quite a
does
bit
get
lower than, yeah.
brisk.
It's brisk, sure. But yeah, I mean, we get into, oftentimes, like, especially here in Pasadena, we kind of joke about the fact that New Year's Day is always a beautiful sunny day because we have the Rose Parade.
Yeah, that's right.
And many days it just happens to be the sunny, bright day. And we've had it up into the 70s. I'm not making the calculations anymore. Into the 70s and even the low 80s sometimes in late December. But yeah, so we have some nice weather still. I love it this time of year. This is the best time of year down here. I'm not a big fan of the heat.
A
So
very comfortable temperature, right?
perfect.
That's cool. Next week, we're getting pretty close to Christmas.
We sure are.
We are.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's true.
Is there like a little holiday coming up of yours, Brian? Like a tradition with your family that we'd like to touch on? this time of
Sure.
year podcast?
Yes, I would love to touch on the fact that there's Christmas Day that we celebrate. There's Christmas Eve. We do some things kind of special on Christmas Eve. The day before that, the 23rd of December, we usually celebrate Pruning Day. Pruning Day is a big day for going through clothing, going through old boxes, going through closets, and getting rid of things that we no longer need. And it's one of my favorite days of the year. I'm a big fan of minimalizing and minimalism stuff. And it's just, it feels so good for me to take a bunch of stuff, clear out a closet, take stuff to recycling or to donate, and just have a little more space. I think it
That's
just
great.
Must feel really good
the
just
stuff
to-
just takes up stuff in my brain, and I can think clearer when things are not so cluttered, you know?
That, and just to kind of reset, right? Like for the end of the year, kind of just, yeah, get yourself reorganized.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like to do that stuff January 1st typically, and like want to buy the storage bins if we don't have enough, and reorganize and make sure things are labeled and put away nicely and everything has a home. And if something doesn't have a home, it needs to go somewhere or out the door. Like that's, and it just feels great to have it put away.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna get on the pruning train, I think. So it's a week away, a week and a day away, right?
Next Friday, the
I'm
25th.
going to,
Festivus.
Festivus. I'm gonna prune.
What do
Great.
you- So Ryan, we were talking prior to starting now. So could you explain to Chris your system? You have a system, right? Where you like pick a topic or an area, or how does that work?
Yeah. Well, this all started with my really, it was kind of a thing for my kids, because we knew that like Christmas would come and the kids would get a bunch of new toys, and then their room would just be filled with last year's toys and this year's toys and all that. So we decided, hey, a couple days before Christmas, let's get rid of the toys they're not playing with, donate them, you know, hand them down the line to cousins or whatever it might be, just to make space for new toys, right? So the big thing was for their room and their clothes and all that kind of stuff. But for me, I kind of focus on other areas of the house. And there have been times I've looked at my own clothes or my own bedroom, but maybe it's the closet, maybe it's tools outside, maybe you know, things that have worn down or things that need to be replaced or that I just never use. And so this year I'm tackling some of these old boxes that I've carried around from my childhood and adolescence, like boxes of like old papers that I wrote and tests and report cards and knickknacks and things that are in there. And I was just telling Brooke beforehand that I'm getting kind of to the point where I sort of look at the box, I think of what I think what must be in there. And if I open the box and there's other things that I didn't expect to be there, that I don't really love or don't really need to have around, those might be on the chopping block.
That's cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I like your system, Ryan, because it makes it much more manageable. You're not saying, hey, I'm gonna prune the whole house. You're saying there's this area or category, these specific boxes.
Yeah.
And that's my goal, and it's very achievable.
Yeah.
Especially since it's one day and you want to go through it, you need to locate the things, go through the things, and then when you're getting rid of the things, have time to go to the recycling depot or to drop them off at a donation place. And because all of that takes time, right? So
Totally.
you're only going to get the job partway done if you're going to do too much.
Totally. Last year was the kitchen, and I went in there and looked for all those little tools and things that I had triple of. Maybe that's another thing. If you have, you know, way too many copies of the same thing, you can get rid of a couple of those, or things that I bought for one dish one day 3 years ago that I'll never use again. And those are great feeling to get rid of a lot of that stuff. But that's it. That was kitchen was last year. This time it's my old knickknacks from the past. So we'll see how it goes.
That's cool. Well, with your minimalist mentality, I wonder if you're ever gonna get to a point where you're gonna run out of things to donate or
Prune.
prune.
I'll tell you, I don't seem to do that. And I don't know where the stuff comes from. I don't buy a lot of stuff, but for some reason every year I'm never really running out of things to get rid of somehow.
That's good.
I like that. There's
Show up.
also what is it called? It's like a Scandinavian term. It translates a little bit cryptically. I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's called death cleaning. But it's a minimalist way of looking at your belongings, and it's literally for at any age. But to say, hey, if I were to pass away, my loved ones have to deal with my stuff. Like, do I want them to have to deal with all of my stuff? Like, do I really need this? And like, what can I do to make it easier on people moving forward? And it's not meant to be a cryptic view. they view it as like a selfless act view.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's part of like Higgy, the
Yeah.
movement of Higgy, and Lagom is another term, very similar. Like, yeah, just this Scandinavian minimalist.
Yeah.
You only purchase what you need and what you will use.
There's the book called The Swedish Art of Death Cleaning, which is
There you go.
that very topic. That's it.
It's a catching title, isn't it?
But I love the idea that the person engaged in this, it's a gift. I'm giving my
Yes.
loved ones a gift of, I'm going to take care of all this stuff and sort through my affairs basically before it's too late, before I go, as a gift to the people who are going to have to deal with this stuff afterwards.
And it's not just for persons who are like age, like higher up in age. It's for anyone to go through, but it's just kind of a different perspective of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It worked well in my head.
Yeah,
I see it as a positive thing.
I've definitely thought about before if
Yeah.
something were to happen and someone had to come into my space and deal with it. Ooh, it'd
Like,
be awful.
Sorry.
Yeah, like what would they find and what would
Yeah.
they do? Yeah.
I'm just kind of, holding on to the treasured items, but often I think we live with way more than what we need.
All right. Pruning day.
Pruning day.
Pruning day. Pruning day.
Got a week to wrap my head around how to.
One section.
Sure.
What is the one section?
What's your one section, Chris?
It's got to be the bedroom, I think.
So your
Yeah.
clothes?
Yeah. Clothes, and I have a drawer or two that's collecting some things.
Very good.
That's gonna be it. There you go. It's,
Nice.
One.
How about you, Ryan?
This is from
Oh,
my
It's in
great
the
boxes.
boxes,
How
yeah.
about you, Brooke?
I could do that. The clothes. One that I kind of do it throughout the year. I wish they would take more is my books. Pruning all of my books and giving them new homes. So the library, I've been donating when I go to get a new book, they'll only accept a small bag. So I'll bring a small bag of books and donate them. But that would be, I would love to do that, or going through like my crafty area. Like, is there, yeah, maybe more the office craft stuff or books. Yeah. What about you, Joe?
Oh, I feel like, anyways.
One section.
It's,
One section.
it would be in my bedroom, clothes. Yeah. But yeah.
Would it just
The
be
list
one
would go
area
on.
of clothes, like clothes in dresser versus
No, clothes
in the closet?
everywhere. Because my clothes aren't necessarily in the places where they should be. They're like stacked in piles on the ground. So yeah, just the bedroom clothes.
All right.
Yeah.
Pruning day.
Pruning day. Pruning
Pruning
day.
Oh boy. Yes. Pruning day.
Give me a pee. No, just kidding.
Great for all those who celebrate. That's good. Join us. Mental Health Bootcamp Podcast, Pruning Day 2022.
Very good. Well, shall we do an ambush?
Let's do an ambush.
No, we're actually filming right now. We're recording.
Okay.
Isn't that
Ryan.
amazing?
Okay.
I'm gonna send it your way.
Joe's going to send me the ambush. Joe knows the topic. None of the rest of us do. Let's see what we got. Okay. Here we go. Spotlight on the podcast crew, round 2.
Oh,
It's like sleep hygiene.
Listeners get to learn a little more about us as we answer a random bunch of questions. We take turns picking a number between 1 and 9, and everyone answers the question. Chris starts. So
what?
for those of
put that
you
in
who
Ooh,
Wow.
saucy.
for those of you who may not have been around, we did this. Joe did this, introduced this idea on October 6th for episode 90, where she asked us a bunch of questions, but we had too many questions. So I think these might be the extras, and we're ready to dive in.
So October 6th was only 5 episodes ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
November was a rough month.
No kidding. Okay. Let's go with number 5.
Tell about a health goal you have.
Oh,
So I have a friend, a very good friend of mine, is getting married in June. And I have a little group with some friends, and we're going to try to work out or have movement for 15 minutes a day. So it's actually gonna
hard
be
elevating,
a bit of a competition. Yeah. So I think yoga counts, walking doesn't,
stretching doesn't, but yoga does.
stretching I don't think does, yoga yeah, you can do body weight exercises though, walk, jog kind of thing, 15 minutes a day, and it's kind of a survival pool type of scenario. So people may have their own thoughts on that, like
I think it's a poopy idea.
but hey, here's my answer, right?
Yeah.
My question. Okay. So yeah, 15 minutes a day, and then we're gonna keep our we need a lot of us need external accountability and motivation. So we're gonna keep each other accountable. So there's a monetary investment in this.
And you're saying like the last person standing wins the monetary?
Gets all the money. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
So $100 though, so it's not anything too. That's like $67 American. So it's not nothing too crazy, but still a chunk of money that you care about, right?
Yeah.
So
Good.
yeah, because for me, I love to work out, but often I don't. So a lot of it is I have the most success when there's external accountability or motivation.
Mm.
So that's mine. How are you guys?
Wait, I just want to hear really quick because I think this is an interesting motivation question here. Brooke, what's the problem you have with that as a motivator?
Well, Ryan, thanks for asking.
Ryan.
I'm just curious. Let's go.
I'm really glad
Just
that you're
kidding.
asking my opinion on this. So my problem is here we are, a bunch of therapists, and we know a lot about the human psyche and psychology and goal setting. Chris is already making sounds. So their goal here is that it's going to be every single day until June 24th of 2023.
So January 1st.
January 1st to June 24th of 2023. And I think that this is completely unrealistic and unattainable, even though it's 15 minutes a day, because there are going to be days somewhere in there where if you get a flu or something happens, somebody blows their, like, I don't know, throws their back out or whatever it might be, where they are not able to, and they're automatically out. So now where is the motivation or accountability? So, and a lot of these, I don't know who else is in it, but Chris is not totally in the, like you're going from 0 to 100, which I think is setting yourself up for failure.
But
I really do.
but
I
what
understand it's
but what
only
do you
15
really
minutes,
think though? But what do you really think?
I think it's poopy. I think that it's unrealistic. And I think that once somebody loses, they're not going to keep going. So I don't think it's promoting healthy behavior change and consistency, because once you're out, I don't know if they'll keep going. And I think eventually you're going to miss a day, opposed to it being 6 days a week. So you have 1 day a week that you can miss just in case something's going on in your life, right?
Okay,
Like,
so you're saying that someone gets the flu and doesn't work out in March, and so then
Then
they're
they're
like,
out.
well, I guess I'm out. So why even try for the rest of March, April, or May, right?
yeah,
No,
they might have good intentions, like, no, I still want to get back to it, but
I don't know.
and if they weren't already like committed to sort of that type of lifestyle, like, well, are they really going to get back into it? Or social lives or whatever it might be. I just think that for healthy goal setting, we need to try and achieve 80%, not 100%. And if you're going for 100%, then that's just not going to work. And
it's a good thing you're not doing it.
this is why I started my own group, Joanna.
Shredding for the wedding. Let's see how it turns out.
Well, I'm going to start at Cancun Cuties, and
Okay.
we'll.
Can I join that
do
too?
something- No, you cannot.
What's your motivation going to be then, Brooke? What's
your
your
goal?
goal?
So I'm also going to do I'm also going to the event, the wedding. So I'm also going to try and up my fitness levels. I really, really enjoy working out. I've been working out for a very long time in my life, but I've been on a bit of a hiatus. So my goal is that I'm going to make a plug for my Fitness Pal, not the app, but a fellow a fellow that I follow and use a lot of his programs. His name's James Wilson, and he's down in the States. And I heard about him many, many years ago because I was following a couple fitness people, Jamie Eason and Little B, and I really liked their style of working out. And he was doing their programs. And so his programs are really affordable. So I'm going to jump back on the James Wilson train. And so I'll be joining his alchemy group, and his alchemy program is 4 workouts a week, and they range anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, depending if you're doing cardio. And yeah, all of his workouts are hyperlinked, so you just click them and go, and you know what you're doing. And then you're part of a support group, so you can keep each other accountable. And James is there for questions, and he can help with nutrition as well. I don't think I'm going to do the nutrition part, but yeah, so my goal is to do good workouts 4 times a week.
Okay.
And right now I'm probably doing 1 to 4 a week. Last week I had good intentions, but I only did 1. This week has been pretty good. I've done 3. I'll maybe try and go tomorrow afternoon. And again, starting January. So that's my fitness goal right now.
Very good. Thanks for filling me in on the objections to Chris's plan there. I got it.
I think it's real stupid.
Okay.
Ryan, what's your goal?
My son wants to run track this spring, and so he would like to get into jogging. And so he said, "Hey, Dad, how about we try to jog or walk a mile a day?"
Oh,
Any breaks during the week?
There are no breaks, but there's also not a
consequence if you don't do it.
there's not a consequence, and we're not doing it for money. There's no like, we're not trying to beat each other in this. It was more of like a let's do this together thing. So
Cool. That's awesome.
as a father and son, I think that's enough motivation for me. I'll be like, sure, dude, you want to go, go for a jog or go for a walk? Absolutely. So that's my goal. We're gonna try to do that, and we don't even have a set time frame, like I guess until track season, but we're gonna do this for a while. That's my goal.
Connection piece and walking piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Connection and walking, 2 things your program doesn't have. Joanna.
I'll keep mine simple. I think I'm trying to I want to make sure I get enough water every day. It's easy to miss. Some kind of movement every day, and make sure I'm getting into nature, like at least a couple times, like into the forest on like the weekend or something like that, or by the ocean.
And how much water do you have? Have you quantified that?
I usually I try to have at least 2 liters, like just a 2-liter Nalgene bottle.
Yeah.
Minimum, but more if I can. But I'm not good with it. And when I'm at work, I try to just have a lot of hot water or tea, which I think is fine. And yeah, just something to just hydration. It's easy to forget. So, you got your water bottle? There you go. Good job, everyone.
Yeah.
I have a bubbly, which is something.
It's 12 ounces.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be mine. Just movement, water,
Sounds good.
nature. Yeah.
It's not healthy.
So
Okay.
all right,
Next one.
Who's next?
Brooke, pick a number.
Me? 3.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
uh-oh.
go for it.
All right. If you cloned yourself, which of your characteristics or qualities would you not want cloned?
My digestive issues, for sure. That's such a weird question.
I know.
Say a little more, Brooke, just a little bit for people who might be able to relate.
Yeah. So I've had tummy troubles my whole life, and then in my late 20s they got really, really bad, and I felt very sick the majority of my days, to the point where just like general fatigue. I just felt like something was off. I would spend a lot of the time just like lying on the couch, brain fog, couldn't concentrate. Yeah, it just felt really bad. And I went to the doctor a bunch, tried to do a bunch of testing, and nothing was really coming up. And a friend of mine had gone for food intolerance testing. So I went, and based on the test, it's a controversial kind of test. It's with a nutritionist. But it came up that I was highly intolerant to nightshade vegetables, which are tomatoes, potatoes, bell peppers, and eggplant. And there were some other items in there as well, but those items I wasn't eating regularly. And I stopped eating them, and I've felt really great since. But every once in a while now I get like, there might be potato starch in something and I don't realize it, or red pepper flake and I don't realize it. And then I get tummy troubles, and it's a real ruckus, and I miss tomatoes. So I would wish that my clone could eat tomato.
Oh,
That is
Brooke.
my wish for her.
Nice.
This is a hard question. I feel like
It could be a
requires some
simple,
reflection.
yeah, I think it's a bit
Definitely that, but-
reflective. I think they're,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
That's a good question.
that could be it.
that's
a good
where I'm
one.
gonna stop for now. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like I'm sure there's personal thing. Like I feel like I'm a bit of a perfection. Like I like things to be certain ways. Sometimes I wonder if I'm OCPD. Like just I like things to go a certain way. I like things.
Obsessive compulsive personality disorder, which is
Yes.
more, it's not, we've talked about this in an earlier podcast, but
Yes.
it's more of
Yeah.
like, this is just sort of a personality style of I like to have things in place, or else I feel
I get thrown off, and yeah, and expectations of things, and a little bit of perfectionism in there. Like, so I think sometimes that inhibits my life from going well. Like I will opt to stay home and do chores because things aren't put away where they need to be, opposed to going to a social event, which I also really enjoy. But by not going to the social event, then that hinders connection, which is very, very important, right? So in some ways, I feel like it interrupts my life where, yeah. Yeah, so maybe a little bit of that too, off the top of my head. Who's next?
I would say I could do with less procrastination. Or I'm a very messy person, and I'd come by it honestly, but I could really use a little bit more. My clone could definitely just not have everything like you work hard to clean, and like within the week everything's just everywhere. So I don't really know where that comes from. If it'd just be nice to maybe have that not there. So but I'll keep it simple. That's where I'll stay. I'll keep that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Ryan?
I can ruminate on things for too long.
Mhm.
Boy, oh boy. I was just the other day, it was when I pulled out this tub of old things from my like teenage years, and it brought back a memory of like something dumb I did at an 8th grade dance, and I could still just cringe like it was like it just happened, right? That was so many years ago. That was the 80s, but I was like, oh my gosh. And I can still feel it so strongly. And there are times when that will come up. I'll think about something that happened 5 years ago, 20 years ago, and just beat myself up for it. And it doesn't help me. There's no benefit to that. I mean, maybe there was a little lesson learned at some point, but to continue beating myself up for those things from long, long ago serves no purpose, just makes me miserable. And yeah, that's something I'd like to be able to amputate from my clone, not have my clone have to deal with. I'll say that there's an addition to that would be, there's sometimes when they say that you don't regret the things in life that you did oftentimes, but you regret more the things that you didn't do. And there are sometimes when I felt inhibited or intimidated by something, and so I didn't go for it. And I think of like asking the girl out or trying out for that team or, you know, making my application to this school or whatever it might have been. And I'm like, darn it, I wish I would have done that. This goes back to The Power of Regret, also the book that we reviewed last year. And it's like, gosh, some things I wish that fear, that inhibition, that fear of regret, and those actual regrets from the past, I would love to not have to deal with those things any longer.
Mhm.
Yeah, so for me, a bit of overlap there with Ryan, for sure. It's funny, my mind went to like, yeah, I've touched on previous podcasts how being very much connecting with friends and being social and the party aspect of things probably impacted my ability to focus on other things that probably could have enhanced my life. But then again, that's kind of part of being a teenager. That's part of being a young adult. And I'm not sure if I'd be here today if I didn't experience all those things. So that's kind of going back and forth in my mind. The highlight reel did pop into my mind as well. When things are kind of quiet, you think of your top 10 most cringe moments. And yeah, kind of overlapping with Ryan with rumination. There's certain things that will pop up, certain things I don't have control over. It could be anything. It could be the polarization or people's views on things, and oh man, I just fixate on it. And so I remember mentioning that to a friend recently. I wish I didn't care as much about views about this or that and the other, but it's my mind likes to gravitate towards it. So definitely trying to be aware of that and not take the bait and kind of spiral or ruminate, fixate, kind of what Ryan was mentioning. And then of course, hair. I'm follically challenged. We're gonna get too gray now, but it'd be kind of nice to have some incredible hair.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like we all probably could have a list
Oh, yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
So
It's a heavy question.
yeah.
It's a very good question. That's a good one. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, wasn't
Chris, I don't think I've ever known you with hair, so I like you the way you are, buddy.
Oh, thanks, man.
Well,
I think
send
you
me a
look
photo.
weird with hair. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, don't send photos. You may not like me as much. You look like this. Woo.
Especially because there's like no facial hair at the time.
All right, Ryan, pick a number.
I'm gonna pick lucky number 7. Woo.
Ooh.
If you could have 1 or 2 superpowers, what would they be and why?
Did we do that one?
Did we? Does that sound familiar?
But
No, I think it was the animal one,
It
wasn't it?
was being
we'll do
animal.
it again. We'll do it again.
Or maybe we did. Is it flying?
I think we talked about being birds and flying.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
We could definitely pick another one if we feel like we've done it, but I didn't think we did.
When I was a kid, I used to think that invisibility would be pretty cool, or stopping time. But I think I've changed from that, and now I would really like the superpower of teleportation.
Mm.
And that's because traveling kind of sucks, and I'd like to be able to to just bypass buying a plane ticket or getting in my car to drive across town. I'd just like to be able to teleport just to make things a little simpler. I think I'd save a lot of money. I'd save a lot of time.
Better for the environment.
Better for the environment. I'd have a lower carbon footprint as a result.
Mm.
And so, yeah, strictly for economic and environmental reasons, I'm going to choose teleportation.
Wow, good one.
That is a good one.
Gosh. All right, Joe.
Yeah, there's usually a few, but I like the idea that I'd be able to speak any language I wanted,
Oh, that's a good one too.
including speaking to animals. So yeah, if I could hear and like I can understand any language, speak any language, I think that would be super cool. So I'll stick with that one. I do like the whole flying, but in order to fly, you should be invisible. Otherwise, people will see you flying. So it gets a bit, added on there. But I like the teleportation, Ryan.
Kind of
There's
like
so much
flying,
to see in the world.
but not.
Yeah. So yeah. So language.
Joe, what would it be like if you were able to talk to animals and you found out that they were just really dumb?
I was wondering the same thing. I was like, do you think she'd be disappointed?
I know. Would that
I
be?
didn't think of that. I think it'd just be great to be like, you see like a murder of crows and you're like, hey guys, and they're like, hey, like, or they're just more like, feed us or we're gonna haunt you.
Must be a lot of that. Feed me.
Yeah, feed a lot of feed me or human
Yeah, I'm
thing.
not sure if they're
I think I
possible.
just
How could-
I don't think I'm expecting much. I think I just like the idea that I could have, there's some more communication between us and animals. I haven't really thought beyond that as to what I'd actually hear from them.
That's good. Okay.
But there's definitely moments where dogs or animals will try to communicate something. You're not
Yeah.
quite sure what it is.
Yeah,
Such as
I'm really
panda
open for
related.
anything.
Yeah.
If they're not intelligent, that's okay. Maybe I'd learn something different.
Yeah, I don't think they have the human mind,
Yeah.
so it might be a little different than
Yeah.
what we're expecting.
Yeah,
But there's definitely a lot of complexity to animals, and
yeah.
they have their desires and their needs, and maybe not desires, well, food, I guess. Anyways, we're getting
Yeah.
off track here. I really wish I had a better answer, but I've always wanted to fly. I actually have dreams of, probably still once a week, dreams of
Wow.
flying.
Wow.
So why is that, Ryan? Why do I always dream of flying?
You have to work with Ryan for 2 years
Yeah.
in order to find
Right.
out.
I mean, dreams of fly. I mean, according to this book back here on the interpretation of dreams by Freud, dreams of flying are a wish for omnipotence, or their a wish to not be bound by the rules of nature, right? Like I can fly because gravity doesn't matter anymore, right? So I have this desire to be able to kind of overcome or surpass natural law and be able to fly and do things that nature won't allow. So it probably has to do, that wish to be able to surpass the laws of nature may have to do with a feeling of being held back in some ways, or feeling like, oh, maybe I'm limited somehow, and I have a wish to be able to overcome that. So maybe if I were your analyst, which I'm not, you might want to look into, what are some ways where I'm feeling kind of limited in my life? And in my dream life, that's where I kind of break free from that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Bills in the mail.
Bills, yeah.
Bill,
E-transfers or checks or?
it's an interesting variation on that, which
That's- yeah.
people report, and I've actually experienced this myself too, is times when you can kind of fly, but not completely. Like
Yeah,
you're kind of, you can jump really high, but you always come back down. It's almost satisfying, but not quite. And it kind of feeds into that same idea of like, I want to be able to surpass the laws of nature or whatever sort of limitations, but I can't quite do it.
but when that happens, you have, at least me anyway, in this dream state, I know that I can fly, but it's not happening in that moment.
It's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, because I know I have that in that realm, I have the ability to, but it's just not happening for me.
So the question would be, what are you frustrated about? Right.
Mhm.
We don't need to get into that right now. But
Brooke.
yeah, Brooke, back to
Alright.
the superpowers, everybody.
So historically, like this is a kind of a common question that comes up, right? And I never really knew what I wanted as my superpower until I watched a movie. And there was a moment in this movie, Chris knows
Mhm.
the moment, and it was like this light bulb moment, or like a cone of light, where I was like, this is it. This is what I want as my
Oh,
superpower.
you can't wait for this one, yeah.
And the movie was Guardians of the Galaxy. I want the powers of Groot. So,
What are
like,
those again?
so Groot all of a sudden lights up and then like brings people together with like essentially like
Yeah.
love and peace and compassion and togetherness and
Yeah.
connection. And
He's like,
I am Groot.
I don't, you haven't seen the Guardians of the Galaxy 1, is, maybe just turn the volume down a bit. But
Yeah.
the ship is going down and it seems like it's like imminent harm or death,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. So Groot like creates this cocoon and kind of protects everybody. And instead of saying,
And lights up.
he just lights up. And throughout
brings
the whole movie,
life.
all he can say is, "I am Groot." In that moment, he says, "We are Groot."
Oh,
That was it. And I was like,
We are Groot.
that's what I want. That's my superpower. I want to be able to
offer some warmth and a cocoon and
warmth and
safety
compassion and
security.
safety and bring people together with love and peace and hope. And that is, I would like the superpowers of Groot.
and in the movie, as a result, like the spaceship didn't crash or something, or everyone was okay, that sort of thing.
The ship crashes, but because of Groot's selfless act, Groot doesn't look so good after it, but everyone else survives.
I get it. Okay.
But Groot
right.
lives
Yeah.
through it.
So
But
maybe I have a savior complex. But
what do you think about that, Ryan?
Freud didn't say anything about that. I have no idea.
Anyway, that's it.
Good one. Good one.
All
I
right.
bet you didn't expect that one.
I did not. So that was great. We're gonna go back to Chris because I know the numbers. So go ahead.
So I give a number to you.
Yeah, just pick a number. Yeah.
But it
Just
cannot
do
be
3. You'll
You
just
cannot
do
do 3, 5, or 7. Those are taken. And it's only to 9.
By calling one for Joanna.
Oh, and sorry, there is
So-
no 9.
Oh,
Okay, 8 for Joanna.
Okay, this was one that was suggested by someone. Have you cried during a movie?
oh,
And if so, you can name one. For some of us, it might be hundreds.
Good, Joe, you're up.
oh, Ryan
Um,
has his hand up though.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yes. I've
Oh.
definitely
This is
cried.
Joanna's question, right? You go first.
I can start. Well, yeah, Ryan, whatever.
Go, Joe. Hit it.
I'm a crier. Yeah, I've cried in many movies. It doesn't take much. I just watched Downton Abbey, the second one, with my parents on Sunday. And boy, if you've seen the second movie, I mean, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I think emotions are not too far from the surface for me, anyways, these days. But I just weeped. So it doesn't take much. I was just like, I just weeped.
You're
I was
laughing
like,
after.
I know, but at the moment I actually did laugh because I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I can't stop. Yeah, About Time, like any kind of, that's a movie that just ripped me apart. I'll cry at the I love you in the beginning of Moana. Like I'm a crier. I'm a feeler. I'm a big feeler, and that's okay. But yeah, I definitely cry during movies. So how about you, Ryan?
Yes. Crier at movies. Crier at some movies. For some reason, the sports movies get me.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's my, I don't know, my toxic masculinity or something. But
You want Rudy?
Rudy is a guaranteed cry for me every
Nice.
time. I've watched it 50 times. I cry every time I see it. All those football, baseball, sports movies, I cry. The first movie I cried at ever in the movie theater, to age me a little bit here, and that was the movie E.T. And I cried, and I was actually kind of surprised because I'd been to several movies before that time as a kid, but I went and saw E.T. and there's Elliot and E.T. on the table, and E.T.'s reaching out, and Elliot, that scene towards the end. Maybe you don't remember, but
I do.
No, yeah.
but it's Elliot, and I started crying, and I was like, I remember thinking, is this even allowed in the movie theater? Like, can I do this? Like, because I had never done that before with my cheesy cartoon movies or what I'd watched before. But yes, I kind of like a movie that will bring me to tears. It's kind of a nice, feels like a bonus. Feels like you get the movie and you get the tears. Good for you.
It's funny you mentioned ET because we mentioned this in previous podcasts, but Steven Spielberg was at the Psychotherapy Network Symposium many years ago. And he has a keen interest in psychology, and he incorporates a lot of psychology into his movies, right? So there's no fluke that it evokes emotion because it's designed to do so, right? To touch on very important themes. So for him, he actually processes some of his challenges through film. So bullying, absentee father, that's a big theme in a lot of his movies. There's always like a kind of a child, like kind of a sense of wonder, I guess, and which was important to him growing up and navigating through those challenges. But yeah, I've cried like definitely tears for one movie. And I remember telling Brooke here a while ago, and I'm
wow.
like, yeah, I'm like, I watched this movie and I actually cried during it. And she was a little surprised. She's like, oh, really? Because I've never mentioned that before, that I've cried during a movie. So she's quite surprised by that.
And I too had never cried from a
Yeah.
movie ever before.
So it was actually the one that Joanna mentioned about time.
Yeah.
So,
So that's the only movie
Yeah.
I've ever cried.
so
and same with
Brooke
Chris.
came over and we're watching it. And she, in a very joking, lighthearted way, throughout the movie, she'd be like, is this the part? Or is this the part? And as if,
And Chris sits there going,
no, that's not the part.
No.
Anyways, the part of the movie actually happens. And
the part is near the end.
yeah,
I'm not going to say what the
Yeah,
concept
yeah,
or
yeah.
anything is about, but it's near the end of the movie. And so this scene is happening. And I was like, oh no.
yeah. And
But
tears down
this
her face.
seems-
Yeah.
Oh no. And I just started bawling. Yeah, not
Yeah.
bawling, but
And then
tears, lots and lots of tears.
I had
And
more
I look
tears.
over and
Yeah.
Chris is
They were
crying.
laughing because, she was surprised that I cried during this movie. And then,
Yeah.
of course,
Just the
full on-
ridiculousness of
Yeah.
the rest of the movie being like, is this it?
Yeah.
What about this? Oh, but when that
Oh,
moment,
Rachel McAdams. Yeah, she's
You haven't
great.
seen it. Definitely
I
watch
haven't
it.
haven't
seen it.
seen
No.
Yeah,
Oh.
definitely watch it. It's a good one.
it's gonna get you.
Don't look at the spoilers.
I won't. Okay. Rachel McAdams
Bill
from
Murray.
from Eurovision fame. She's wonderful.
Mhm.
She's great.
And then
Yeah.
there was a close second, which would have been Beaches,
Oh gosh.
where I
That whole
feel
movie
like
was
tearing
built
up.
to make people cry.
Yeah, I feel like tearing up, but don't.
I'm surprised, Brooke. I thought you'd be more of a crier.
No.
I guess me and Joe are the weepy ones of the bunch.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah. It
Which
it
is
takes a
great.
lot
Yeah.
for me
Which
to
is
cry.
awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's important. And I ask that question actually in therapy sometimes. Have you ever cried during a movie? Sometimes the clients you would not suspect would say, absolutely. There's been a couple movies that really hit me. A great window into the context of that movie and what resonated with them, or so.
I guess this is going back into banter chit chat thing, but I'm gonna go see Avatar tomorrow with my boys.
You'll have to keep us posted. I remember seeing Avatar in like at the movie theater
Yeah.
when it first came out, and it was phenomenal.
Mm.
Like, I'm so glad I saw it in theater.
First time, yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
yes.
The biggest
Yeah,
movie.
visually
Oh,
stunning. Story's a little hokey, but it's got some good points to it. But James Cameron, who did that movie, also did a movie called The Abyss, which also gave me a big crying moment.
Really?
Did you guys ever see The Abyss?
A long
I
time
don't
ago.
know.
I thought you were gonna say
I feel like I might
Titanic
have.
for sure. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, Titanic has its own moments, but yeah, yes, I've cried a lot of movies. I like that.
great. That's awesome. I like that too.
Good question, Joe. Jeez.
Well, it may have been a someone else here's question.
Do we have time for one more round, or what are we doing?
Yeah, there's 3 more questions
Losing track
left.
of time
So
here.
All right, lightning round. Let's go.
yeah, we can do it quick. Okay, Chris.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, Chris.
Is
Because now you're picking for you.
which numbers are?
1, 4, or 6?
Oh, 1 for
Or
sure.
2.
No, there's no 2.
Let's try 1.
What's your favorite dessert?
Oh,
I think fresh cookies.
Dang it. That's fine. It's gonna be very fast.
it really depends on the season.
Well, freshly baked chocolate chip cookies or oatmeal chocolate chip cookies.
Well, that's mine. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
If you have one, put it out there.
I'm really not a huge dessert guy, but I'll just say sweets in general. That
Okay.
I like mint chocolate chip ice cream.
There you go.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
a statement.
Nice choice of
Cool.
flavor.
Yeah, mine would definitely change depending on the season. Like in the summer, early summer, I really want lemony things,
Mhm.
like a zesty lemon yummy cake. But sometimes I want tiramisu or just a good old fashioned chocolate bar.
Okay.
Very mood dependent.
I'm kidding.
As long as there are no tomatoes involved, that's
Safe zone.
it. Okay, who's next?
Brooke, go ahead.
For a question,
What numbers
So
are
You
left?
say
We're both
A or
with
B? What?
B.
This is might seem a little bit bland, but how strong is your decision-making power?
8 out of 10.
Oh, give it a number, nice one.
She made the decision there to do it.
Mhm.
I know, well
She
done.
committed to it.
I can be very indecisive. It's something I'd like to work on. Yeah, because sometimes it's just a pain in the butt when you can't make a decision, and sometimes you want to have more confidence in some things you want to make decisions about. But so I'd say my decision power is maybe these days of 5.5. Yeah.
If I'm, gosh, it's a tough way to put this. I'm someone who likes to gather a lot of information. I like to gather my data
Oh, nice. Yeah.
beforehand, right? So if there's something that's fairly clear cut, I have no problem saying, A versus B or whatever. I have no problem there. But if it's something that's new, something that's ambiguous, I do spend some time gathering my facts, doing my research, and kind of figure out what do I want to do here. And that might look like ambivalence, or it might look like I'm dragging my feet, but I think I'm just taking time to figure out what's going to be the best decision for me. So for some things, I'll take longer, but I'm very decisive at the end. Like, I'm pretty clear on what I want because I've done my research.
Okay. Yeah.
But for simple things like, what do I want to eat today? That's not a problem. Boom, this is what I want. Right.
Just like that, my tummy made a sound.
Sure did. Wow.
But I like that, Ryan. There's a few different ways to look at that. So
Yeah.
Mine varies as well.
yeah.
There's certain things actually, like, what should we have for dinner tonight? Sometimes it's like middle child syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I can't decide. You decide.
Or I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't care, but it's yeah, it really, some things I think it is information. It's analysis paralysis sometimes. It slows down the decision making process. Some things I'm very comfortable and confident with. Other things I'm like, why can I not make a choice here? So it varies. It must be situational, but I think there's some layers to that.
Okay.
Yep.
There's only one more question, so I'll just read it out loud. What would you do if you won the lottery?
Wow, I'm ready for this one.
Go for it.
I would put it in the bank for 1 year, and before I decide what to do with it, and consult a financial advisor.
Exciting.
I feel like that just happened to a local lottery winner. He did the same thing.
That is what I would do. I
really.
really,
Then when you
I've thought
consulted,
about
what
this.
would you do?
well, it depends on what the financial advisor informed me of.
She's gonna make the interest off.
I'm gonna
What's
make the
the lump
interest
sum?
off of the lump sum, and I'm never gonna touch the interest. I'm only gonna work with, I'm never gonna touch the principal. I'm only gonna work with the interest.
Brooke, are you working with the world's slowest financial advisor? Why do you have to wait a year?
To accrue
I don't
some
know.
interest, I think.
I think to accrue the interest so that I then can just live off the
And
interest.
not have,
Never, ever, ever touch the principal.
but also not to be reactive or.
We just
impulsive.
had a lottery down here a couple months ago that paid out for more than $1 billion. So
That's crazy money.
Gosh.
you don't
Yeah, we
need to
don't get
worry
that up
about
here.
accruing interest on something like that, because you'll never spend that much money anyway. So
That's crazy.
Ours gets up to like 70 million Canadian dollars.
yeah.
That's the
And that's a
top.
big one.
That's the top that you're gonna get. Yeah.
Yeah.
1 billion? That's nuts.
Yeah, we had it was wild. Joe, I would want to, there are different rules down here about whether or not you have to divulge your identity. And I would be doing whatever, one of the first things I would, if I won, I'd be happy, I'd celebrate. But one of the first things I would do is do whatever I could to protect my identity. Whether it's making a trust or whatever that needs to be done so that people are not pointing to me as the winner of the lottery, because there are a lot of kind of predatory people who just look for the people who won the lottery so they can ask them for money. I know it's a little paranoid, but it's a reality down here.
Same with
Um,
up here, that's a condition of accepting the funds.
So you have to.
You have to, and take a photo, the cheesy photo with the check, and it's publicly announced with your photo. So some people actually wear costume masks.
oh, there we go. I wouldn't mind doing that. But, I might be changing my name. It might be, I think there's something down here where you can, in some cases, you can hide your identity, but you have to take a lower amount. Whatever that might be. I'll be weighing all of that stuff because I just don't want my life and, identity to be ruined because of this. But then it would be a lot of investing and a lot of protecting that money one way or another, and taking care of my family, and then doing some sort of mental health nonprofit, I believe.
This one.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's cool.
Chris?
Yeah, I'll definitely take a bit of a grace period to gather my thoughts and intentions. Maybe 6 days would probably do it. Want to make sure that you have financial security for a while. So investments, I think, would make sense. Impact family and friends, no doubt. But not just maybe handouts for family, friends, maybe more investments in their future or something that could be a little more sustainable for them. I think I'd still work as a counselor or therapist or do something mental health related, some kind of project for sure. And then do some traveling,
Nice.
lots of traveling, probably 6 months of the year at least.
Whoa.
Lots of travel, maybe by teleportation, and I would be traveling to North Dakota to get a listener from North Dakota to listen to the podcast.
Did we get it this week?
No.
Oh.
Bummer.
I guess I didn't clarify how much the lottery would be. So usually this question would be like what if you won $1 million? And it's like these days, that's not.
Mhm.
A lot of similar things. I would probably try to pay off stuff and save, invest, try to put it towards, I don't even know. Travel's big, but just trying to make sure I'm set up for my needs and not really going to town and buying crazy things. But maybe one day invest in a property, but nothing exceptional. Probably help out some people or some charitable component.
Mhm.
But yeah, a trip around the world would be fantastic. Doing something like that. So, but yeah, that's what I'd have to say about that. A little random thing. If you could be either Santa, an elf, or a reindeer, who would you choose
An elf,
and why?
because then you're with other people and you're working as a team. Santa just seems like he's leading the group, but he's not part of the group.
And are you okay that you're pretty much like building toys year round?
Yeah.
Lots of different types of elves.
I
for
know.
sure.
Yeah. Reindeer, it sounds really cold and strenuous.
But you fly.
but
Get to
you
go
fly.
see the world.
So that's why I didn't choose reindeer.
Okay.
And then Santa, like, is in that position of power or leadership or authority, but he's kind of alone. I don't like that. So I would like to be with the other elves and laugh and have fun and sing songs and make things and be productive and
Yeah. Nice.
Okay.
There you go. Any other thoughts? I feel like it's a pretty silly question, but I feel like if you're an animal, you're a reindeer. It's not probably the most exciting life.
You know what? Like
But-
sometimes, like Santa seems like a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure. If you've seen any Santa movie, there's a lot of pressure on that guy
Yeah.
or gal.
or gal.
Or yeah.
Noel, the movie Noel.
Sometimes being a reindeer is appealing.
Yeah.
I think of being a park ranger back in the day. You're just hanging out with your pals and
Yeah.
maybe not the most mentally strenuous, but you do what you need to do to contribute and have
Get
some
some
fun and
snacks along
fly
the
and get
way.
some snacks. And so sometimes I feel it'd be nice to be a reindeer.
Yeah.
So throw that out there. That elf sounds like a pretty cool gig though.
I'm gonna buck the trend here, and I don't mind being Santa. I think that would be great. I think it'd be great to be ringleader for something that's so impactful and meaningful for so many people, And plus you get to go around that night and fly to every house in the entire planet in one night. How cool is that?
Pretty
Mhm.
darn cool.
I'm all over that. Bring it on. Bring me the cookies. I'll eat them all. I love having a project to work up to and then see it executed well. I'm good with being Santa.
That's great. Good job.
Joe?
Yeah, they all have I think all the points made were great. At
Well,
first,
you
I
have to make a
was thinking
decision.
about the elf, and I was like, oh, it's a lot of work. But then I like that you got the community, you're working hard, got the executioner. Sorry,
Woo!
the person who executes the the plan, the gift giver, the one that kids talk about and look forward to. But I kind of like the idea of arranging this year, just along for the ride. I'm like, hey, I've been stocking up, stretching, and I'm not even Rudolph. I feel like I'm just gonna be like Donner in the back and just being like, hey, like look at this and get some treats. I think that sounds pretty good. Get some pets.
You do like carrots.
Do you like carrots?
Carrots and celery.
Yeah.
There
There
we
you go. That's it. That winds up.
Joe, thank you, Joe, for great questions. This is
Great.
wonderful. I love it.
Class.
Very, very fun. We do want to let people know that the book club selection coming up in a few weeks will be Irvin Yalom, The Gift of Therapy, which is a wonderful book. It's written to therapists, but it's also written to people who've ever been in therapy. And honestly, I think it's something that's applicable to really anyone. If you've never been in therapy, it doesn't really matter because there's so many great life lessons in this book. And we are thrilled to make this our next book club selection. So Irvin
Great.
Yalom, The Gift of Therapy, right?
Hooray.
Hooray! All right. Well, we will sign off. Say goodnight, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
See you.
Good night, everyone, from the Mental Health Bootcamp podcast.
Good night, North Dakota.
Find us on all those places. Brooke,
Good
do you
night,
know
Tom.
them?
Oh.
Oops.
Apple, Google, Spotify.
Stitcher, Podbean, YouTube.
There we go. Tell a friend or two and come back and see us again sometime. See you guys later. Good night.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Uh,